Hi, welcome to our webinar on Welcome Home and Arriving on Campus. My name is Kamala Kiem. I am one of the Associate Dean of Students in the Division of Student Affairs, and I'm also the Director of Student Engagement.
And my name is Charlie Sousa. I'm the Senior Associate Director of Housing Operations in the Office of Residence Life.
Great. So we are here to talk about move-in day and what to expect, and to make sure that you are well aware of all of the logistical all of the logistical needs that you may want to be thinking about in order to have a successful transition here to Fairfield University. So Sunday, September 2nd is our official move-in day for the class of 2022 and transfer students. Our official website for all information pertaining to the arrival information, what to bring to campus, the fall welcome schedule, the move-in day schedule will be located at fairfield.edu/fall welcome. That is our official website.
Now, there are a number of groups that are scheduled for pre-arrival to the university, so they'll be arriving before that September 2nd date. These are students that have been accepted into specific programs. So our Fairfield Challenge will be moving in on Thursday, August 30th. Our international undergraduate students will be arriving for orientation on Friday, August 31st. And our honors students who have elected to move into the honors living and learning community will be moving onto campus on Friday, August 31st. For our commuter students, we are doing a pre-arrival commuter orientation. That will take place on Thursday, August 30th, 2018 from noon to 6:30 p.m. Both lunch and dinner will be provided for them. We'll be meeting in the commuter lounge, which is located in the ground level of the Barone Campus Center. As part of this, even though we are doing an early orientation, it is essential that our commuter students do attend Fall Welcome, which starts on Sunday, September 2nd at 2 p.m. So when students are arriving to campus, we do have arrival time set up. This is to help make move-in go much smoother. If you notice, we do start moving in students from the top of the buildings down. So students who are assigned to a fourth floor room should plan on arriving to campus between 8 and 8:45 a.m. Students on the third floor between 9 and 9:45 a.m. Students living on the second floor should plan to arrive between 10 and 10:45 a.m. And students assigned to the ground or first floor should plan on arriving between 11 and 11:45 a.m. If for whatever reason you find yourself arriving to campus early or late, we will still check you in. These are not hard and fast dates, but we do like to have the students who live on the top of the building move in first because it's easier with elevator usage.
If you're a transfer student, we are also welcoming you to campus that day from 8 to 11:45 a.m.
So you'll see on campus, we do have a large number of first-year students moving onto campus. You can see the expected numbers of students living in residence on campus. We've set up a great plan to have these students move in, and you can see there's about 200 students living in each first-year residence hall, with the exception of Loyola Hall, where we have 26 students moving into the third floor. We have about 64 commuter students joining us this year, and 42 transfer students.
Great. Now we're going to talk about traffic flow, and we want to make sure that our families are fully aware of the traffic flow that morning to ensure for a smooth move-in and arrival process. We're asking all new students and their families to enter through the main gate. If you live in Campion Hall and Jogues Hall and Loyola Hall, we ask that you keep moving forward down the main boulevard. We will actually show you some images of this traffic flow in a few slides ahead. If you're moving into Gonzaga Hall and Regis Hall, you're to make an immediate left turn upon entering campus. As well as if you're a transfer student, we're asking you to make an immediate left turn and check in at the Barone Campus Center in the Office of Residence Life.
We will have staff available on campus directing traffic. So if you forget where you're going, you just need to let us know which building you are going to, and we'll direct you in the right traffic pattern.
Great. Part of entering campus, we are asking for you to remember to print your residence hall name. And you can get this printout from the Fall Welcome website that was mentioned earlier. If you print your residence hall name on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and you stick that in your dashboard upon entering campus, that will help us with traffic flow tremendously. So this is just to give you a satellite image of our expectation for those who are living in Gonzaga and Regis Hall. You'll notice a red straight arrow. That is the main gate. And then you'll notice another arrow that curves towards the left. That is where we want Regis and Gonzaga to turn left. That is in the first left upon entering the main gate. For Campion, Jokes, and Loyola Hall, you'll be entering the main gate, and then you'll be heading down the main boulevard. You'll notice that there are two red arrows where all three residence hall traffic is on the right-hand side of the boulevard. And then along the way, you'll notice that there is a split. Jokes and Loyola Hall will stick to the right, and that's the orange arrow, and hug the traffic circle. And then Campion traffic will go ahead and shift to the left, which is a yellow arrow, and hug the traffic circle. And again, you can see it delineated by the colors there. Yellow is Campion traffic, and orange is Jokes and Loyola traffic. Again, not something that you need to remember. On that day, we'll have a lot of people directing you directing you along the traffic route.
When you arrive to your residence hall, there will be unloading zones set up for you. You'll be given an arrival time card, which you should be able to provide your student's room number and cell phone number in the event that we do need to contact you. We do ask that one person remains with the car at all times. So in the event that we do need to move a car for whatever reason, it can be moved in a timely manner. We generally have a 20-minute time limit to unload your car. There'll be a large number of volunteers available to help you unload your car and bring your belongings up to your room with you. Students, once arriving at the building, they should go into the check-in locations where they'll receive their welcome packet, their room key, and their stag card. After unloading, we ask that you move your car to one of the designated parking lots, which we will be talking about in future slides. It's also important to label all of your containers, bags, anything that you're bringing with you to campus. Like I mentioned before, we will have a large number of volunteers helping you to move your belongings. We just want to ensure that we're dropping them off at the proper location. In the event that you do mislabel something or you forget to put a label on it, we will have volunteers that will help label that to ensure that it is going to the right location. We do ask that you put on the student first and last name, the name of the residence hall, and the room that it is going to. You'll see here, this is the start of our pictures of traffic moving onto campus. This particular picture is showing Regis Hall. As you can see, we utilize all the available spaces to move people in. We will have 3 rows of traffic so that we can load in right in front of the building. You may have to wait a few minutes before this happens, but moving goes very smoothly using this traffic pattern.
And these are just images of move-in day for you to get a feel of what to expect that day.
And this is the second part of Regis Hall. So as you were queuing up in those lines, you'll see that there's a limited number of spaces in front of Regis Hall, but we do have a large number of volunteers there to help. So as soon as a car does pull up, we will help you unload it and move all those belongings to your room so that you can move on to the parking spots. All right, and this image here shows, as Kamala was talking about, the image after you pass the traffic circle. This is part of the main drive. The little corner of the building that you do see there, that is Loyola Hall. They'll be parking in that parking lot that's shown in the picture. And the Campion traffic will be on that left-hand side, the bottom of the picture, pulling right up to the building. And Jogues will follow this road around and will be pulling right up in front of the building to help unload. There is also a parking lot in front of Jogues Hall where students and parents can unload their car and bring their belongings in if they don't want to wait to pull up right in front of the building. Again, here's just another image of the traffic going through in front of Campion Hall. This image here, taken from the top of 70 McCormick Road, shows the traffic pulling towards Jogues Hall. And here's the final stop before actually unloading at Jogues Hall. And this is the traffic circle in front of Jogues Hall where we typically unload from. There is also a parking lot directly across from this where if families do so choose, they can unload their cars from there as well.
The long lines may seem a little intimidating for us, and you may think it's a long experience, but the lines do move relatively quickly. For the past 4 or 5 years, since Charlie and I have been managing moving day, we pretty much have everyone loaded in before noon that day.
Now, once you've unloaded your car, you may be asking yourself, where am I going? We'll have a myriad of signs throughout campus pointing to different parking lots that you should be able to park in. We recommend starting with the parking garage by the Kelly Center, which you will be driving past as you drive into campus. If that parking garage is full, we do recommend the rear of the gym and the Recplex by the Barone Campus Center. These are typically the 2 best lots to park in because as you wrap up your day, you'll be wrapping up right around the Barone Campus Center. So instead of walking across campus to retrieve your car, you will be able to go right to those lots when you leave the building. If for whatever reason those lots are full, there still is parking available up by Bellarmine Hall near the president's office, the Quick Center, again, the Barone Campus Center, the Fairfield Prep lot, which is up closer to Fairfield Preparatory near North Benson Road, the Dolan School of Business, or the Walsh Athletic Center. And students who are living in Jogues Hall, there are 2 small lots that if after you've unloaded your car, if there is parking available, you can feel free to park and leave your car there as well. So one thing that we always like to highlight in residence life is what to bring to campus is just as important as what not to bring to campus. We do have a number of things listed on here that we can't bring to campus. So students who are living in the residence halls shouldn't be bringing any halogen bulbs or lamps. Usually when we are still finding these, because they're no longer made, they're kind of passed down from parent to student. We do want to avoid those because they do provide a large potential for fire. We also request that students don't bring hot plates, toasters, electric frying pans, George Foreman grills. Air conditioners are not allowed unless a student has a specific medical accommodation to do so. And if you feel that your student does have a specific medical requirement that they do need an air conditioner, they will need to contact the accessibility office to start that process to be approved for an air conditioner. Students should also leave at home their mercury thermometers. Candles are prohibited from campus. That also includes candles that you put on the little plate warmer that does melt the wax on the candle. That does pose a fire hazard, so we do ask that you leave those at home. If a student is bringing the battery-powered candles where it's really just a little light bulb flickering, those are approved to be on campus, but anything you do need to light on fire or heat up for it to work are not approved to bring on campus. Students should not be bringing hoverboards to campus as it does pose a threat to the students because a number of them in the past have caught on fire, so we just like to make sure that we are keeping our students safe on campus. Alcohol is prohibited from campus if the student is under the age of 21, so they should not be bringing alcohol with them. Students do not need to bring in micro fridges or microwaves. A micro unit is provided for each student room in the traditional residence halls. Pets should be left at home unless it's a fish in a fish tank that's less than 10 gallons. Water beds and mattresses also should not be brought to campus. Again, if a student feels that they do have a specific medical need to bring a mattress, they should contact the accessibility office on the process to be approved for that. And one other thing that we do like to note is if students do bring wireless printers to campus, the way our network is set up, they are not able to use the wireless function on it, but they do have the ability to use the USB connection on it so that they can print from that printer. New to Fairfield this year, we've contracted with Philo TV, which is an internet-based TV source. So students don't need to bring a coaxial cable to campus. Their TVs will be hooked up through the internet. If your TV is not Roku enabled, we do recommend purchasing a Roku device. You can go on Amazon and buy a Roku stick for about $30. This will allow you to download the Philo app so that the students can access TV right through that. With the change to Philo TV, it has allowed us to expand the reach of the way our cable is set up. So students don't just need to watch it on TV, they can watch it on their laptop, handheld devices, tablets, iPads, anything where you can download the philo.edu app. And with the change to Philo TV, we are able to allow students to DVR TV shows. So if they are really into a specific TV show and they have class at that time, they do have the ability to DVR that show and watch it after class. We also get a lot of questions about room dimensions and furniture. Each room on campus is a little bit different, but the general rule of thumb is our rules are about 10.5 by 17 feet or 11 by 16 feet. When purchasing a carpet for your room, which is not required, but some students do enjoy having the carpet in their room, we do recommend a carpet size of 10 by 12 feet. You can get a smaller carpet if you wish. Larger carpets may be difficult to fit in the room if they are larger than the 10 by 12. Each student is provided a desk and desk chair. Within the desk, there are 3 drawers that the students are able to use to store belongings. Most of our beds on campus are fully adjustable beds, so students can choose the height at which they'd like to have their bed. We also provide a 3-drawer dresser for students to store clothing and other belongings, as well as a wardrobe or closet. Most of our wardrobes do have 2 additional drawers below them so that they can store additional clothes in there. And again, we do provide a micro fridge with a microwave installed on top of it for all of our student resident hall rooms.
Great. Thank you, Charlie. So you may be wondering, once I've moved in, what is happening on campus that day for your student and also for you? Between 8 and 1 p.m., as students and families are moving in, we are offering a new feature this year called Quad Fest. So in the middle of the quad, which all of the first year residence halls surround, there will be a cookout, barbecue food. In the early part of the morning, there will be continental offerings, breakfast offerings for you as well. There will be a welcome tent if you have any questions about campus or your students' transition or, follow-up questions around campus resources. There will be a welcome tent on the quad to be able to answer any of your questions. Additionally, there are some key offices that will be available that morning and throughout the day, such as the Stagcard office. There's an info fair that's going on in the Barone Campus Center lower level. Counseling and psychological services will be there. A few banks will be there, as well as the bursar and financial aid office will also be available to answer any of your questions that morning. We wanted to just make sure that a lot of times on move-in day, our families are really, concerned about making sure that your student's room is set up that day. And please know that over the next 2 days, because classes do start on Tuesday, so your student they will have 2 days to set up their rooms and make sure that they're all set to start the year successfully. So please do not get tied up with the first day of move-in, because we want to make sure that all of you are attending some of the critical events that are going on that afternoon towards the evening. So at 2 to 3 p.m., we have our welcome mass or reflective walk. And at 3:15 to 4:15 p.m. are critical sessions that we've curated for both your students as well as families to attend. So at 3:15 to 4:15 p.m., students, and just students, will be attending Once a Stag, Always a Stag, where they will be taking the class photo and receiving their class t-shirt. While the students are in that session, our families have 2 sessions to choose from. They will either attend the Residence Life family meetings if they are a family of a student living in a residence hall, or they will be attending a new student family meeting, which is meant for families who did not attend June orientation, as well as our commuter family, as well as transfer students, and that will be hosted in Alumni Hall. After those 3:15 concurrent sessions, we have developed a new tradition here at Fairfield called the President's Send-Off Ceremony, where the entire class of 2022 and transfer students will process in, and there will be a new ritual and tradition that we're asking our families and our students to participate in. So we definitely want to make sure that you pay attention to arriving to the recreational complex at 4:30 p.m. that evening for the President's Send-Off Ceremony. And those are the key events for our families. We ask that our families depart campus after the President's send-off ceremony. The fall welcome schedule, which is distinguished from the move-in day schedule. The fall welcome schedule is for students only because, again, they arrive 2 days before classes start, so we engage them in critical events and activities to ensure that they have a successful transition for the first day of their classes. So it's meant for for students only. It's different than the moving day schedule, and it encompasses 2 days of events, as I just mentioned. It's focused on community building, and the students will also receive more information about what it means to step up as a stag, especially as we navigate the campus culture, the hookup culture, the alcohol culture here on campus, and making sure that we're maintaining an inclusive environment for all of our students. It would also entail further residence hall meetings. There will be a commuter orientation, and as well as social engagements for our class of 2022 and our transfer students to feel connected to each other. And there will also be campus tours and shuttles to the mall, downtown, and Bed Bath & Beyond to take care of those last-minute needs, again, for the first week of school. With that, that takes care of our portion of our logistics. We are now opening it up for questions, and we do have Elizabeth Elliott in the Office of Student Engagement who will be fielding us some questions.
Sure. The first one we received is in regard to the renovations that are happening or happen to Campion. Just kind of hoping to learn a little bit more about what they are, if there's air conditioning or anything different that they should be aware of.
So we're wrapping up construction on Campion Hall now with opening for when school does start. The major renovations to Campion Hall, we're adding air conditioning to the building, a complete gut and renovation of all the bathrooms within the residence hall, as well as the addition of 4 new lounges to the building, kind of mirroring some of our newer buildings on campus, including the newly opened 42 Languth Road, with glass surrounding the lounges so students can really get a view of the quad from their building.
Great. For students that might be in a triple, can the room be configured by housing before move-in that day, i.e. bunk beds, lofted space, etc.?
For our students living in triple rooms, these are true triple rooms. They were designed to house 3 people. However, the Office of Residence Life does go into each of these rooms and does what they believe is the optimal setup. Once students do arrive to campus, they do have the ability to go in and adjust the way the setup of the room is set up. Some students may want a bunk bed or a lofted bed on campus, as opposed to just the standard 3 low beds with dressers underneath or different desk configurations. But again, we'll do the optimal setup in our eyes. Once the students do move in, they do have the ability to adjust and change those based on their wants and needs in the room.
Great. Do the residence halls have vacuum cleaners available for communal use?
Each residence hall does have a commercial grade vacuum cleaner that students do have the ability to check out from the Office of Residence Life. They just need to find their area coordinator in their building. The vacuums for each building are kept within those staff offices. Usually students do need to turn in some sort of collateral, whether it be their STAG card or a cell phone, while they use it. And once they return the vacuum cleaner, they'll get their STAG card or cell phone back.
Perfect. A couple questions here about Philo and our new TV system. Can Philo be used off campus, or is it only for on-campus use? Can the Optimum app be on a student's laptop? I think that's it for now.
The use of Philo TV is restricted to campus. So once a student does leave campus, they won't have the ability to use it off campus. But they can use it anywhere on campus. It's not just restricted to the residence hall. So if they were hanging out in the campus center, they still do have the ability to watch TV on their laptop, their cell phone, or their other mobile device. As for the question about the Optimum app, you do have the ability to use those apps on campus. We do have Wi-Fi throughout all our buildings on campus, so students can use those apps on campus.
Perfect. We do have a question here. Is there a lock on any of the desk drawers on the desk provided by the university?
No.
Okay, great. Do the dorm rooms have window treatments provided?
The university does provide curtains in each of the traditional residence hall rooms. These curtains are fire-rated curtains and should not be taken down, as well as students should not hang other draperies over the top of these, as there is a level of fire protection that is required by the state of Connecticut on these windows.
Perfect. And then are there closet rods in place? Are there bed risers available, or do they need to be purchased?
Each wardrobe does have a rod for the students to hang their clothes in it. It's kind of a standalone closet, so students do have the ability to move those around the room. And again, set up what they feel is the optimal setup for them within their residential space. We do provide additional bed ends as well as stabilizer bars, so if students do wish to loft their beds, they do have the ability to do so. The Office of Residence Life will also have rubber mallets available for students. So if they do want to make adjustments to their bed heights, they do have the ability to just check out one of those mallets from the Office of Residence Life and make the adjustments to their bed.
Great. A couple move-in day schedule questions. We move in at 11 a.m. Can we park somewhere on campus for the bookstore, etc., before that time? My daughter is in Regis.
Yes, actually, they can come on into campus and make a left and head to the Barone Campus Center and park there and take care of whatever logistical needs they may have. Yeah.
And any suggestions, Kamala, on bringing younger siblings for move-in day?
You know, it's a family affair, so yeah, I mean, I think definitely bring younger siblings. They're welcome to go to any of the sessions that we're offering. No restrictions. All family members are welcome. It's a big moment in a family's transition, so I would imagine it's completely your call whether you want to bring the younger siblings.
Let's see here. How would you recommend to darken a room?
In the past, we've had students buy sleep masks and things like that. Again, we're really prohibited by what we can do with the window treatments due to Connecticut's strict fire code regulations.
Thanks. Once a car is unloaded and you move in, can you easily leave and come back with a second load, not expecting help?
I would say it depends on the time that you're leaving. Because move-in is happening and traffic flow is occurring between 8 and 11:30, probably 12 o'clock. So if you do leave within that window, getting back to campus and trying to get back to your residence hall, you're going to have to join the traffic flow for those who are loading into the residence hall at that time. So it might be tricky if you want to be close to the residence hall. You're welcome to leave and come back, but your parking might be a little bit away from the building if you're carrying things back into your residence hall room.
Perfect. Are wall hangings and wall tapestries allowed to be hung?
Yes, students can bring in wall hangings and wall tapestries. Students should not be nailing anything into the wall. They should also not be using push pins to hang anything up. We do recommend the use of 3M strips or 3M hooks to hang things on the wall. If they are hanging posters or pictures or anything like that, we do recommend either using blue painter's tape or using the blue sticky tack, which you can purchase at the bookstore, Bed Bath & Beyond, CVS. A lot of places like that have it. We try to avoid them using duct tape or packaging tape or anything like that, as it does damage the walls.
Great questions.
Are small puppies allowed at move-in?
That's a great question. You want me to take it?
Go for it.
I mean, in theory, pets are not allowed on campus. I think that's our official answer. We have had occasions where, 1 or 2 pets make it on campus, but we recognize it's a short period of time. In other words, we don't want to say that, yes, bring your pets, but if, 1 or 2 of you plan to bring a small dog, I don't think you'll be asked to leave leave campus.
Question about the President's Farewell, about how many families do stay. I know this is new this year, so perhaps how many are you expecting to stay?
We're expecting all the families who are here and supporting their families' move-in process to be present, but we also recognize that families may have logistical issues that might prevent them from being here the entire time, so we understand that, but we want as many family members to be here for the President's send-off. Part of the ceremony is the family's blessing and saying a prayer towards the students and wishing them well for the start of the year.
Perfect. What are the activities for the honors students and parents after they move in on the 31st? Should parents return on the 2nd for the family activities that day?
That's a great question. I think that's a judgment call for the families. It's not an expectation. Ideally, we would like all families to be there for the President's send-off and for that ceremony, but we also understand, depending on how far you're coming from to campus, you may not be able to feasibly make it back on Sunday. So again, that's a judgment call for you to make. Ideally, again, we always want our families to be there for move-in day, especially for that ceremony, but it's not something that I would say that you have to be there for.
Great. Just a couple more questions. This parent or guardian is saying their son is on the first floor. So being one of the last to move in, is there any worry that there might not be enough time to set up the room before the schedule of events occur? And what time might you suggest? What do you suggest as far as having enough time to set up a room, but also not missing the events as they happen?
Yeah, I believe there is enough time. And again, for the first floor, I believe your arrival time is between 11 and 11:45. The mass starts at 2, so you have at least 2 hours to unpack and get settled. And again, I want to reiterate that your student will have the next day a good chunk of day 2 to also help set up. So I would focus on what are the necessities that you need to be there for to help support setting up the room, and what are things that your student can do on their own or with their new roommate to help set up the room, and prioritize those things on day 1 compared to day 2. But again, you do have approximately a 2-hour window to get set up, and if you're proactive enough and you have bought a lot of things ahead of time, then you should be all set.
Maybe a question for Charlie. Washing machines in the residence halls, what are the pay options? Are there dryers as well?
So there are washing machines in each of the first-year residence halls. Students are provided with enough laundry money to do 36 cycles of laundry. That a cycle would be 1 wash, 1 dry. We know that some students may wash clothes more often than others. If for whatever reason they do run out of laundry money, they can use their stag bucks to supplement that. But there are ratios that we have set within the residence hall so that there are more than enough washers and dryers so that the students can use it. We also have an app through our Matt Gray company called Laundry View. So students do have the ability to check the usage of the washers and dryers so that they don't have to come down from the 4th floor to the 1st floor with all their laundry just to realize that the laundry machines are all in use. They do have the ability to just hop online, look at that app, and see how many available washers and dryers there are for them to come down and do their laundry.
Can students bring steamers in their rooms? I believe that might be a clothing steamer, perhaps.
Yeah, with steamers, we don't recommend that they bring steamers, only because we have a state-of-the-art fire alarm system on campus, and it does recognize significant changes in temperature in the room. And in previous years, we've had a number of fire alarms set off in individual student rooms in the building using items such as steamers. We also get the same thing with hair dryers and hair straighteners. Obviously, we know students can't leave those at home because it is a necessity. But we do recommend bringing an iron versus a clothing steamer to iron wrinkles out of clothing versus steaming them out.
Great.
Awesome questions.
A couple questions about printing in the rooms. Do you recommend a printer inside of the residence hall room? I realize it must be hardwired. Is there a fee to print elsewhere on campus?
So we do have, I don't know if you can speak about the room and what the residence hall students are doing, but we do have WAPA printers across campus where students start off, I believe, with a certain amount of free printing. I believe it's $20, and I don't know exactly what that equates to in the numbers of printing paper. Liz, I don't know if you have a take on how much that is, how much printing that can be. But essentially, there are stations across campus that students will email themselves their papers, and then they'll go to those stations and print as needed. That's the extent of printing that I'm aware of on campus. But Charlie, do students tend to bring printers?
You know, we've noticed over the last couple of years that the number of printers that are being brought into the residence halls is drastically being reduced. A large part of it has to do with the fact that we do have the WEPA printers on campus. We try to have a WEPA printer in each of the residence halls, as well as there are WEPA printers in the library as well as the academic building. So students do have the ability to print other places. And when they're bringing in printers in the residence halls, they're not really using those. As we're going to a more paperless society, I know a lot of the faculty members are requesting that papers are emailed as opposed to being printed and handed in to them so that they can review the papers electronically and then send them back to the students.
Great. And Charlie, could you just clarify for us which residence halls do have air conditioning and which do not?
Currently, right now, Campion will be the only first-year residence hall that will have air conditioning. As students move up in class year and as we can continue construction and renovation on the other residence halls, it will be added. But currently, right now on the quad, 70 McCormick and 42 Languth do have air conditioning. And then the townhouses, Dolan Apartments, the Meditz Apartments, 47 Mahan Road Apartments, Casca and Claver Hall, and Faber Hall all have air conditioning. And those are options for sophomores, juniors, and seniors.
Great. And then also a couple clarifying questions. Could you just speak a little bit more about the painter's tape use in the room?
We recommend painter's tape. It's something that you can go to Home Depot and get. It's generally blue. I know there's a couple of brands out there that are green. We find that those do stick to the walls very well, but they're designed to mask painting lines. So when you're painting a wall or a ceiling, you're not bleeding paint on other things. And it doesn't damage the paint on the wall where you're pulling it off. Whereas if you are putting duct tape or masking tape, or even in some instances Scotch tape, when you're pulling it off the wall, it tends to rip paint chips off with it. And we do try to ensure that the rooms are painted in great condition prior to the students moving in. And a way to reduce the need to have to paint the rooms every year is to have students use either that painter's tape or utilize the 3M strips as well as the 3M hooks to hang things up.
A couple questions, we've touched upon it a bit, but parents or guardians coming back possibly on Monday or beyond to further help their student finish moving in, is that a possibility?
It is a possibility, but it's highly not recommended. One of the things we would like to suggest is that families wrap up their time with their students by that 5:30 p.m. on day one, and allow the students to make that transition to their peer group, to their new student leaders, to their RAs, and just really start that transition on their own. So we highly recommend that that families stick to day one. But obviously, if there are extenuating circumstances and you need to come back, a student forgot something, you're the only one that can purchase this and bring this to the student, do what you need to do. Please note, though, that there is essential required programming that our students will be engaging with in the morning of day 2, which is the Monday, up until around midday, that there are required sessions that they will be in. So post midday, the rest of that day is optional events and experiences for our students to participate in. So if you must come back to campus, I recommend after midday on day 2.
Great. Charlie, did you mention whether or not Campion will be finished by move-in day? We have a couple questions about that.
As I mentioned before, they are wrapping up construction right now. We are anticipating having the building open and ready for move-in day.
Great. And pods or liquid detergent for washing machines?
Oh.
It comes down to personal preference. All of our washing machines on campus are high efficiency washers. I know during the RA's first floor meeting, they will go over how much laundry detergent to use and how to use the machines. Because they are high efficiency, you don't need to put a full cup of laundry detergent in to do a load of laundry. And this is something that we've been doing for the past couple of years because they are high efficiency commercial machines that are a little bit different from what you'd have at home.
Great. We do have quite a few questions on textbooks as well, whether or not the bookstore will be open for textbooks to be picked up and or purchased, where can a student find the syllabus and the assigned textbooks, etc.
I can speak to the fact that the bookstore will be available for textbook pickup on both Sunday and Monday and throughout the week. So one of the things I do want to be mindful of is that sometimes families believe that Sunday is the only time that they can pick up their books, and so they tend to stay in a line to pick up their books. But again, be reassured that the entire day the bookstore will be open, as well as day 2, which, again, there are no classes on day 2 of Fall Welcome. They will have ample time to pick up their books on that day. In regards to syllabus, I cannot speak to that, but Liz, do you have an answer to that?
I know through my Fairfield traditionally, but I'm not sure with recent years and different technology changes where we can exactly locate that. But
we'll make sure, we can follow up on that question through an email out to your student. I do believe we've communicated to your student how to purchase textbooks and how to look up this information, but we can follow up again. And the reason why I'm always fielding my questions to Liz is a recent alum of Fairfield University.
During Fairfield Challenge drop-off Thursday morning, will there be an opportunity for a student to meet their RA?
The RAs will be available to help, as well as during the Fairfield Challenge move-in. There are a number of student leaders that were selected by campus ministry to help lead the program. So both groups will be there together to kind of help welcome the students to the buildings. The RAs will be in and out of training that day, but they will have an opportunity to meet them at some point during the Thursday move-in.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And Kamala, the schedule for move-in and Monday, all of that is on the Fairfield website, correct?
It is, yeah.
Great. I believe that's about it. We are going to follow up with the textbook assignments, but I think that is all of our questions for today.
Great. Thank you all so much. Great questions. We look forward to seeing you on Sunday, September 2nd.
Thank you.